Today I'm here with artist, vagabond, some would say asshole, others would say saint, helper of people, therapist of the disavowed and stragglers and weirdos everywhere. And we are in your trailer right now that you've lived in for a while you were building your cabin on the property.
Yep, I bought this trailer from you.
That's right.
For way too much.
Ooh, hot take. Still less than I bought it for. Yeah, I like what you've done with the place.
Yeah, I've kicked a few holes here and there, making room for things.
I like it. What's the title you give yourself?
Songwriter.
Songwriter, period.
I'm a writer in general. When I started writing music, I wasn't too interested in music. I'm more interested in how words and syllables and just the phonetics.
You've always written your own songs, even since the earliest days, huh?
I've tried to write with other people. I think I've written 2 songs in my life with other people, and nothing serious though. Every time I try to do that, I end up taking over, and I'm like, I don't like your ideas. So, and even right now, I'm about to put out a solo album, and I have 50 songs that I could make 3 more records right now. Yeah. I have just books and sheets and content that I have to use. So it's never a problem on my album where I have a shortage of what I need to use. It's about figuring out the order of the tunes and the feel and flow. That's really important to me, is figuring out how the album develops and kind of taking you through a story, even though most people don't even fucking listen to entire albums anymore.
How it fits together as a theme. It all has to thematically make sense.
Exactly.
For the point in time in which you are.
Exactly.
Hey, tell me about how you write your songs.
I've done a couple songwriting workshops.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, years ago. I don't do anything now. But I really, I don't know what to tell people, because I have no formula. I like, if you look through my songs, it's literally like notes on scraps of paper. There's like just piles of mail, fucking bills, warrants.
Songs? Do you write it all at once, or do you piece them together?
Every single one is different. I've written a chorus and used it 5 years later. I've written a song in 20 minutes that are some of my most famous. I've spent 5 years writing a song.
Yeah.
I've spent a month writing a song.
So you got to spend time writing songs, in other words, to be a good songwriter. Maybe that's a good piece of advice.
Well, I don't have a clue how people who aren't songwriters. I have no idea, because when I have terrible feelings, that's how I release them.
Yeah.
I have no idea how people, that have a job and have kids and work their ass off, and
I think they drink beer and punch holes through the wall.
Well, I do that too.
See, well, I guess you're just a normal everyday guy.
Yeah, but I mean, but that's not the release of it. That's a reaction to basically sadness. Anger is a result of, typically anger is a result of sadness, an inflated version of that. But as far as actually being able to release it and detach myself, like, if I wasn't able to write a song, because then I can just I can put it down.
It's on the paper, and then you put the paper down, and now it's out of you and it's into the world.
Yeah, I have no idea. But I don't know how. I don't know what to tell people. People ask me that all the time. I think, honestly, that all that songwriter workshop is dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, people in Nashville coming around, like, they'll have songwriters workshop, and you'll pay hundreds of dollars.
Maybe not hundreds of dollars worth of something to
go start walking. Just start fucking walking.
Yeah.
In one direction, and find yourself.
Okay.
And and then write a song. Just start fucking walking.
Yeah.
That's my advice to people. Like, pick up a guitar and start walking somewhere. Go experience something.
Yeah.
Like, go have actual legitimate experiences off of the internet.
Everybody's experiencing things, but then they don't always write songs after
people aren't actually experiencing. I mean, give me a fucking break. I mean, at least 70% of our society spends at least 8 hours looking at a screen. That's not living. That's not experiencing anything. I don't buy that for a second.
Yeah, so you think you gotta live some life to write some songs.
Whatever, just live organically. Live not second person. Don't live symbolically. The symbolic version of yourself that modern society has created doesn't actually exist. This, who you are on Facebook, who you are on Instagram, who you are on whatever the fuck tweet thing.
It's who you are in real life, huh?
Yeah, it's right now. It's like everything's right here. It's like us talking. It's like tasting this water. It's looking out, seeing light. Like, this is life. That's not real. It doesn't fucking exist.
Okay, but your songs, when you're writing them, I think there's always some kind of formula that makes sense. Do you sit down and you're like, every song's got to have a chorus? I mean, you don't write many songs that are all verses.
I'd say about probably 20% of the songs don't have verses. Or don't have choruses. They're all verses.
Like, are you writing these songs solely for you, or do you ever think about the audience when you're writing them?
Oh, I definitely. It's probably 80-20. I'm going to... 80% of exactly what I want to say. Yeah. I definitely grapple with, like, the harshness of what I want to say and, like, toning back certain things, because I'm a violent, crazy ex-drug addict.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
You want to tone it down just a bit?
Yeah, because if I said things the way that I just wanted to, it's just like anything. It's like impulsiveness.
Well, the word selection, I mean, it's important because, obviously you write stuff that hits the right place. It's
about phonetics, too. People don't, I know songwriters that write incredible stuff, and if they would literally take out a syllable here and a syllable there and switch words one way or another and say things with the correct just tone, they would be easily famous.
So you're thinking about, not
easily, but whatever.
So you're thinking about the phonetics when you're writing. You're thinking about how the words sound together?
Yeah.
And
how syllables work and roll over whatever key timing signature you're rolling.
Yeah.
I'm living low down and I'm using again. It's like you could say that. I'm living low down and I'm using again. It
so
sucks.
It's very particular how you put emphasis on different parts of the words, different syllables.
See, one sucks, one doesn't.
Yeah.
One no one would fucking listen to.
I think you must have a really good taste in your phonetic syllables, because that's not something that comes natural to everybody. You just choose it, and if it sounds good to you, you go with it. Huh? Mm-hmm. Most people just stop at does the ending rhyme.
Well,
There's a fox in the box and...
Well, there's like so many different types of rhyming too, and I guess like Wu-Tang and like hip hop culture really nailed that.
Yeah.
And I definitely take some inspiration from that.
Opening your mind as to what can rhyme and what can't.
Well, rhyming in like ways that are like hooking a rhyme at the beginning of a sentence and the end, and in the middle matches the rhyme from the next middle, and like things like really turning it. It's like. Example, like Terrible and True, I've got to change, so I'm going away for a while. I'm leaving today. Please don't let time change your smile. Like both of the parts of those. And I'm ashamed because habits became my life, and no damn hurricane can rival the tears I've cried. So both parts of those rhyme. No damn hurricane.
In the beginning of the words rhyme. I mean, that's a...
The beginning of the stanza and the end rhyme, but they're two different rhymes. They're not the same rhyme.
That's yeah. Wow.
So
I mean, that's a rabbit hole you can really go down with this.
It's fun. It's great.
Yeah, but I guess if you pay too much attention to it, it starts to get a little...
Exactly. It can get contrived, and that's another part that I fight with. Sometimes I'll get like so intense, and like I'll pull back my first instinct of what I was going to write, and then I make it overly complicated. I'm like, wait a second, just fucking... All right.
Do you read anything or listen to anything for inspiration, or do you read any poetry or anything that you like to?
No. I got a thesaurus.
You really? Do you look up words? You find yourself trying to, like if you wrote a line and it was what you wanted to say, but you look for a word that might have a synonym that's a different word that'll fit better?
Exactly. Like, I mean, if I have the beginning of a rhyme that I really need to fit and I can't find a word for it, then yeah.
What kind of artists did you grow up on? What kind of music did you grow up listening to?
When I was around 12, I got a Clash album. I got into punk rock, Adolescence, Crass, Subhumans. Got into crust punk and metal punk. And
did you have a mohawk?
Yep. I had a mohawk and a dreadhawk and a dread mullet and then everything you can think of. Green, red, blue hair. Studded leather jacket.
Yeah. And when was that? How old were you?
Probably 14.
14?
Yep.
And you were playing in punk bands, punk music?
Yep. I played in a punk band when I was 14 called Capital Murder. I played bass. I didn't know how to play bass. I told them that I did, and then got a bass and figured it out. But it was a band. It was one show. We ended up playing.
And any recordings that people need to scour the internet for that? Who do we need to shake down to get those tapes?
Acme probably has those tapes. I think you probably know Acme.
I do know Acme, but we won't give his last name out so nobody can find your
Oh
shady
yeah, no one's
past.
gonna find Acme. Yeah, there's so many Acmes around.
Oh man.
But then later on, I got into Bob Dylan, Conor Oberst, Elliott Smith, Willie Nelson, Townes Van Zandt, Guy Clark. My friend Christian was a huge music nerd, and his dad was a songwriter in the industry in Nashville. So his dad toured with Townes and Gordon Lightfoot and like a lot of like the folk era.
It's funny how Nashville does that. Everybody knows somebody whose dad, when you were growing up in Nashville, worked in the music industry in some way, or they were the kid of like a songwriter or something, of note.
Well, it's funny now, especially because, Guy Clark and Townes and folks are, it's really trendy now. But I remember just being 16 and like Christian's dad being like, listen to this record, and like throwing us an album and us being like, oh, this is good.
Yeah, it used to be really edgy when you were like 16 in Nashville. People started like spinning Hank Williams records and shit, and that was like as edgy as you could get though, like because everybody was listening to metal. At least in our crews and anything, and it wasn't hip yet to listen to country. So you started when somebody turned you on to Townes and all that?
Yep, around 16, and yeah, I didn't really get into like, I guess, like deep country until later on. I didn't like,
It's a gradual slope when it comes to country.
Well,
next thing you know, you're listening to George Jones and George Strait.
No, I love both of them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, growing up in Nashville, like, I mean, rebelling against, the country music thing. Like that was the original rebellion. Anyone in like a young person in Nashville, you didn't act like,
You liked country.
No, it was stupid.
Yeah.
That's what they did on Lower Broadway.
Yeah.
But I started busking on Lower Broadway when I was about 13 and was mentored by a guy named Mandolin Mike. He spent 16 years playing mandolin down on
I remember him.
Broadway and 5th. Yeah, you do.
I remember seeing him. He was always there.
Yeah.
You drive by, he's playing his little mandolin.
Yep, he's one of the best mandolin players I've ever heard to this day, still.
Tell us about your experience in the music industry. Because you don't have a label, right?
No. We
never had a manager?
No. Well, we have a manager now. It's my good friend Dan Emery from Black Matter Mastering. He's the only person that I can...
But you self-managed for a really long time.
Yes.
And booked.
It's still pretty much within the realm. I mean, he feels like an extension of the Lost Duck family.
Yeah, you're not signing anybody on as full-time management. I mean, you're really DIY.
Yeah.
Do you think that comes from something, or you think you're onto something there, or why do you do that?
I'm not a very malleable person. My personality type in general.
You've had some pretty public fallouts with the music industry so far.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's their deal. Is they try to trap you into a deal. Basically, they'll loan you $50,000 for an album, and then, which is exacerbated prices. They'll charge you, $15,000 to fucking push a button, shit like that, and then they'll demand it back, and they'll tour you to death. And so, and another thing about it is like managers and booking agents, those are supposed to be separate things, because it's a conflict of interest to have your booking agent and your manager to be friends or in business together or behind the table, really in any way. Those things, your manager setting you up so that your booking agency has to overwork you and overuse you, and not being able to make your own decisions with your art, and also getting distribution rights for 5 years and shit like this. I mean, I don't know I don't understand how people can make a living doing that, because we've done everything from the ground up. I mean, that's my philosophy with everything. I own this land. I don't owe anyone a fucking dime for it. Every asset that I have, I don't own a fucking dime for it.
Here in Kentucky where you live.
Yeah. Every vehicle, every fucking building, I didn't take out credit or loan. And that's my basic philosophy. You know, I saw my grandparents struggle in debt for so long, and that's basically what the music industry does to people. They see talent, and they say, we can exploit your talent and work you to death. And I just decided, through kind of a stroke of luck with Gems, I don't think that I didn't have any idea that it was going to develop this way.
Yeah.
I had no idea, with Coming Down and then, moving forward from that, Green Eyed Gal and stuff, that eventually this would be the foundation to my career.
You say you had no idea, but I mean, that's the whole point of putting in work, was you were trying to build it yourself and do it on your own, and because you were out there touring and doing all kinds of playing before we did anything, and you were always working hard. I mean, do you think people need any type of deal or any management or anything like that? I mean, there's lots of musicians that are looking to you wondering, how do you do it yourself in this industry nowadays?
Some people do. Well, the consumer wants honesty. That's all you have to do. I mean, people try to spend $20,000 making a music video and doing this and doing that and pumping money into PR and stuff. It's like, if you just be brutally honest, make a video that encapsulates your honesty and the truth of your art. Yeah. Just do that.
Well, if some people were honest, they'd probably have less fans, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. if people were honest about how fucking boring they really are, instead of putting on some hokey accent and driving down from New York City, or where the fuck they come from.
Just as an aside here, you don't sing with a country accent that most people would know, but you've lived in the South your whole life, and you're from the South. How do you discover what your voice is when you're singing?
It took me a long time to discover what my voice was. Yeah. And I definitely use Southern inflections. And it's definitely really a popular thing to do. It's almost necessary to do if you play country music. Even fucking Keith Urban has a fake Southern accent. Right, yeah. I've been on the road since I was 16. So I spent most of my time in the Midwest. I was in a band with 3 Wisconsinites. My wife is from the Midwest. Yeah. If anything, I probably have more of a Midwest accent. When I get drunk, I get really Southern. Off the bat.
What kind of music do you recommend people listen to now? What are you listening to nowadays?
Jim Ringer is incredible, huge influence of mine. Randy Travis, absolutely. His vocals are pretty much, him and George Jones are what I strive to be as a vocalist. Also, Randy Travis's original songs on his albums are always the best. Only probably 2 out of 10 are actually his, but they're the best ones on the album every time. As far as modern people that I listen to, it'd be Joseph Huber is one songwriter that I absolutely love. Mama's Broke out of Canada. They're incredible. The Tillers, and Hayden and fucking Casper.
Everybody on GemsOnVHS. Yeah. Some of them.
Oh, and Dallas is behind us, but I'll pay for that mistake and be swallowed by the shadow of the east. Picture postcards on the dresser reflect the flashing from the street as the house starts catching up to me.